Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. The real reason the Golden Bachelor's Bear Myrden quit show, and it's bad news for Sunny. After 8 nerve-wracking episodes, Bear Myrden eventually found his match on the Golden Bachelor with Sunny Long in Sunday's finale. But in what could be bad news for his winner, CEO Sunny Long, 58, the 61-year-old engineer almost didn't meet her at all. Bear quit the Channel 9 show shortly after being cast as the new Golden Bachelor because he had found love. And in a surprising twist, it was the Canadian-born Sydney Sider who auditioned for the role in the first place. He applied, they liked him instantly, then he pulled out because he'd met someone, an insider told Confidential. The source added that after Bear made his exit before the cameras had a chance to roll, the show's creators were stuck for a star. But once they saw the rest of the candidates, let's just say Bear suddenly looked like a rock star and they lured him back, the production insider explained. According to the source, the other possible bachelors were spectacularly underwhelming. Bear is said to be loving all the attention the show has brought him. This week, it was revealed by Women's Day that Bear was engaged to a millionaire heiress named Jo Kinghorn after his wife Audrey died in 2014, despite claiming on the show he had remained single since becoming a widower. An insider who attended the couple's engagement party in 2016 revealed leaked information about their ill-fated romance and said Bear was commonly described as a tosser by Kinghorn's friends. Bear spent most of the engagement party showing off in the ski boat Jo bought him, the source told Daily Mail, adding he was also quite flirtatious with some of the women in attendance at the soiree. They added that Bear barely paid attention to male members of the friendship group, who did not find the infrastructure engineer interesting. What's more, according to the insider, Bear didn't cough up for Kinghorn's engagement ring. It should be known that the engagement ring was purchased by the bride-to-be, the source claimed. Kinghorn fell madly in love with the keen sailor after meeting the Canadian widower in 2012. A friend of Kinghorn told the publication that Bear's claims about his love life on the show have left her and her friends gobsmacked. For not only had the pair been engaged and lived together, but Kinghorn even stepped into the stepmom role with Bear's 3 young boys, Charlie, Jack, and Declan. However, as soon as money started playing a major role in their relationship, things seemed to go downhill for the couple. Kinghorn is a millionaire heiress. Her father founded Alco Financial Services and Rams Home Loans and has been featured on the Aussie Rich list. Bear seemingly lived the good life with Kinghorn, who hired a full-time nanny for his children so that she and the engineer could travel the world together. The publication revealed that when the pair got engaged in 2016, Bear and his 3 kids moved into Kinghorn's $6 million home in Manly. Daily Mail has reached out to 9 for comment. Following the finale, Bear and Sunny have revealed that they are still together and kept their love alive in the months since filming on the reality show ended with a series of secret hookups. For weeks, fans of the Golden Bachelor watched Bear Myrden with hopeful hearts and cautious optimism. He wasn't just another leading man chasing romance under studio lights. Bear felt different. Rugged, thoughtful, and quietly vulnerable. He carried himself like someone who had lived a full life and wasn't afraid to admit its scars. When he finally walked away from the show, viewers were stunned. The exit felt sudden. The explanations felt thin. And for Sunny, whose connection with Bear seemed deeper than anything else on the show, the fallout may be devastating. So what really happened? Behind the carefully edited confessionals and polite press statements lies a far more complicated truth. One that reshapes how we understand Bear's decision and casts a long shadow over Sunny's future. The public story versus the private reality. Officially, Bear's departure was framed as a personal choice, a desire for privacy, a need to protect his family, and a realization that the process no longer aligned with his values. On the surface, it sounded noble and calm. But reality TV rarely operates on surface truths alone. Those close to the production say Bear didn't simply quit. He unraveled. As the weeks passed, the pressure intensified. Unlike younger contestants, Bear wasn't chasing fame or social media clout. He came to the show carrying decades of lived experience, love gained, love lost, and grief that never quite leaves. The structured chaos of reality television began to clash with his emotional reality. And nowhere was that conflict sharper than in his relationship with Sunny. Sunny wasn't the problem. She was the trigger. This is where the story turns painful. Bear's bond with Sunny was real. Perhaps too real. Their conversations weren't flirtatious fluff. They were raw, reflective, and heavy with memory. Sunny didn't just see Bear as the charming lead. She saw the man beneath the nickname. And Bear, in turn, found himself opening doors he had kept locked for years. According to insiders, Bear began experiencing something he hadn't anticipated, emotional overload. Sunny reminded him, not of a new beginning, but of an old ending, of a love he once had and never fully mourned. The more he connected with her, the more unresolved grief resurfaced. Instead of excitement, he felt guilt. Guilt for moving forward. Guilt for feeling joy again. Guilt for letting someone like Sunny hope. The moment everything changed. The turning point reportedly came after a private, off-camera conversation, one that never made it into the final cut. Bear was asked to imagine life after the show, to talk concretely about commitment, relocation, and blending lives. For Sunny, it was a moment of clarity. For Bear, he realized that while he cared deeply for Sunny, he wasn't emotionally prepared to choose anyone. Not her. Not anyone else. And continuing the show meant making promises he feared he couldn't keep. That fear of hurting someone he genuinely respected became unbearable. Why walking away was easier than staying. To many fans, quitting looked like cowardice, but to Bear, staying would have meant something worse, leading Sunny forward under false hope. Producers pushed for reassurance. The format demanded progression. But Bear reached a point where honesty mattered more than narrative. He knew the show would end with a choice, and that any choice he made would be televised, dissected, and permanent. So he chose the only exit that felt honest to him. He left. Why this is bad news for Sunny. For Sunny, Bear's exit wasn't just a breakup, it was a vanishing. One moment, she was part of a love story being celebrated by millions. The next, she was left holding questions with no clear answers. Here's why Bear's departure hits her hardest. No closure because Bear quit the show rather than choosing against Sunny. She never received a definitive emotional ending. Was she not enough? Or was the timing simply wrong? That ambiguity lingers. Public sympathy, private pain fans rallied around Sunny, but public support doesn't heal private disappointment. She invested emotionally in a process that ended without resolution. The narrative frees reality TV loves clean endings. Sunny didn't get one. That makes it harder for her to move forward, both personally and within the franchise. Bear's silence since leaving. Bear has kept a low profile. No grand statements. No clarifying interviews. For Sunny, that silence may feel louder than rejection. The tragic irony. The irony is heartbreaking. Bear left because he cared. He didn't want to hurt Sunny by promising what he couldn't give. But by leaving without fully explaining himself, he may have hurt her anyway. Sometimes, the kindest intentions create the deepest wounds. What comes next? Will Bear ever return to the spotlight? Unlikely. Those close to him say he's retreating into a quieter life, one focused on healing rather than headlines. And Sunny? She remains one of the most emotionally resonant figures the show has seen. Strong, graceful, and honest. She may yet find love, but Bear's sudden exit will forever mark her journey. Not as a failure, but as a reminder that even in shows built around romance, timing can be cruel, and love, no matter how genuine, doesn't always mean readiness. In the end, the Golden Bachelor promised second chances. Bear believed in that promise, until he realized he wasn't ready to claim one. And for Sunny, that realization may be the hardest truth of all. Thanks for watching. Until next time, stay inspired.